either stance, that's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out and...
I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, you know? Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing.
Prior to his bout with Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford is apparently working with Gennady Golovkin, garnering a lot of interest in the boxing community. According to reports, the two fighters are collaborating to improve Crawford's timing, power, and general ring intelligence. This apparent cooperation might provide Crawford the extra edge he needs as he gets ready for one of the hardest fights of his career, with Golovkin's experience. Guiding him. Terence Crawford is not a typical fighter, according to analysts. They spot a unique talent that blends timing, speed, and an unrivaled capacity for opponent reading. Crawford is renowned for his fluid stance changes and mid-fight maneuvers, which are skills that only a small percentage of boxers possess. His ability to precisely dissect opponents has earned him the moniker genius level in boxing. His versatility and ring awareness, according to observers, put him apart from the majority of boxers in the sport today. The way he uses strategy and knowledge to manage battles makes him not just outstanding, but absolutely exceptional in the eyes of many.
But if there is anyone who can do it, it's Terence "Bud" Crawford, a man who survived getting shot in the head, for God's sake. Like, he is not normal. He is a wizard of boxing. He's got genius IQ, one of the smartest boxers I've ever seen, and he can do it all. He's had over 40 fights. I can't ever remember seeing him, like, shot or worried. I mean, this is, you know, trained killers trying to take his head off, and he never looks out of pocket. He is like a rapper who just turns up and figures out his lines on the fly and still makes it sound like the best song you've ever heard. Like, that's how amazing he is. Like, I've never seen anyone who can fight out both stances the way Crawford can. I mean, he looks so natural in either stance. That's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and you know when they stand in the pocket and they just go for it. And even in those situations where usually both of you are getting hit, he still manages to hit and not get hit. It's like he's in the Matrix. And this isn't against average fighters, this is against the best in the world at 4 different weight classes, and he's made it look easy pretty much every time he's moved up. I think in the Errol Spence fight, that was a fight that was supposed to be 50-50. The pressure was on. A lot of people thought he was going to lose that fight. He made that look like a boxing lesson, and the reason was when Errol Spence would throw a punch and not get out of the pocket quick enough, he would make them pay every single time. And if people are worried about Canelo's feet being slow, if there's anyone who can punish that, it's Terence "Bud" Crawford. In terms of weaknesses, these guys, they don't really have weaknesses. They've just got things that they maybe not as amazing at. That's the level we're talking here. Canelo has been accused of being a bit of a slow starter, and, you know, that could be a problem.
Michael Fox emphasized a crucial element of the impending fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez by pointing out that Crawford's weight is his only true disadvantage. There are undoubtedly difficulties when stepping up to take on a fighter like Canelo, who is inherently bigger and stronger. Canelo might be able to apply physical pressure due to the size disparity, which would make it more difficult for Crawford to rely on strength exchanges. However, Fox clarified that Crawford is superior in almost every technical area despite this. Crawford can frustrate aggressive opponents by creating angles with his feet. His incisive and accurate jab establishes the mood for rhythmic disruption and combinations. Often referred to as elite, his timing allows him to take advantage of the smallest gaps. Above all, his ring IQ is regarded as one of the highest in contemporary boxing. Depending on the opponent, he can easily change tactics and adjust in the middle of a battle. Despite the weight difference, Fox thinks Crawford's talents make him a terrible opponent for Canelo. Crawford's overall skill could be evident if he can manage the roughness and resist Canelo's use of power shots to command. Crawford has every opportunity to outperform and defeat the Mexican great in that scenario.
I would like to see Bud pull it off. The thing about it is, I think the only disadvantage Bud really has is the weight. I think he has all the skills and attributes that are required to beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's kind of flat-footed. He's seen the fights with Bivol and Laura and even School, who didn't do much, but you see that movement irritates Canelo. You know what I'm saying? When dudes that know how to control the range and stuff like that, he didn't look like the world beater. You know what I mean? The motherfucker that sat in front of him, them dudes that sat in front of him, you see what he did with him. You know what I mean? But guys like Bivol, who was bigger, but he bounced in and out. Laura, motherfucking landing counter left, and he's circling out, and that shit was fucking with Canelo. Floyd, you know, it probably killed Canelo that Floyd was always only an inch away. Yep. A little step back, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's like I missed by a mile.
That's crazy. But he didn't use no move.
Right.
He stood in the pocket.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you said G?
No, I said Floyd didn't use no move.
Yeah. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. I'm in there to land, then I'm right here. In there to land, but now I'm right here. It just. Floyd was a bad motherfucker, Joe. Like that's what Floyd never gotta understand. Floyd was a bad motherfucker. But the movement, having good feet under you, helps against Canelo.
The adult responded with interest and suspicion when fresh training images of Terence Crawford's body appeared online. In the pictures, Crawford was in excellent shape and had a pronouncedly toned physique. But the first thing that came to mind was if these images were real or photoshopped. Before their fight, some fans questioned whether the overblown images were meant to scare Canelo Alvarez. Showbiz pointed out that although Crawford has always trained with discipline, the drastic physical changes generated controversy. This response demonstrates how attentively fans and pundits study every aspect, particularly when it comes to a super fight of this kind.
Shredded wheat and amazing is this Photoshop, because this photo that Ilya Tapora posted of Terence Bud Crawford is the latest photo we've seen, and he looks just less impressive in this photo. Well, the question is really, when were the photos taken? All right, so when you look at this photo, and you look at this photo, and look at this video of Terence Crawford with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh as Terence Crawford is working out, supposedly just yesterday, right? Which one is Terence Crawford's latest appearance? Because even though this is the latest photo you've seen, doesn't mean this is when the photo was taken. The only reason why people are confused is because this latest photo seems to have been taken in Vegas. And we're approaching fight week, and Terence Crawford is already in Vegas. Hence the video with him, with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh in Vegas. Now, let me explain all of this. Well, first you gotta look at the hairstyles, right? Terence Crawford in this photo from Ilya Tapora, his hairstyle is totally different than this hairstyle here with Terence Crawford shredded wheat. It is also different than his hairstyle that he has here in the gym with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. You can tell because you can tell how the hair braid, like how it's parted in this photo, and in this photo, they're more parted down the middle, where this video is slanted, it's in like a diagonal slant, which I'm thinking is his latest.
Adam Smith provided a thorough justification for his preference for Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez, largely citing timing as the decisive element. Smith thinks that meeting opponents at the ideal or unfavorable point in a career is just as important to boxing as skill. He brought up the fact that Canelo Alvarez had previously seen years of difficult competition, which had unavoidably worn him down. Smith believes Canelo's speed, explosiveness, and sharpness have diminished, despite the fact that he is still very talented. Terence Crawford, on the other hand, is approaching what many people believe to be his best period of work. He is ahead of schedule. He has not lost, and he shows no outward indications of slowing down. Crawford still has the vigor of a boxer who is eager to show himself against the best. He is also hungry and driven. Smith claimed that Crawford had an edge because of this flawless symmetry between form and goal. The timing of this bout is not in Canelo's favor, according to Smith. He thinks Crawford has the perfect chance to win and establish his brilliance because he is catching the Mexican star just as his edge is beginning to wane.
In Vegas to see, I think Terence Crawford beats Canelo, and I think that it's going to be his coming out party. I'd love to be there, and Canelo, of course, an all-time great. Yeah, but listen, I love Ireland, and I'm pleased to be in Belfast with the zone for Crocker and Donovan. There's something about an all-Irish fight which is fantastic, and it was great and controversial first time around. It's even bigger now, so yeah, let's chat over there and get on with it.
Just a quick one on Canelo Crawford. I heard you pick Crawford. You just said it there. How much of that is down to timing, and how much of that is down to styles?
A bit of both. I think Canelo is approaching 70 fights. He's been beaten before. Crawford remains undefeated. I think that the jump up is big, but I think he's got the speed, the IQ, the experience, the know-how to be able to handle it. If he's switched on for every minute of every round, I think he wins, and I think he announces himself to the world on Netflix. And I think he deserves it. I think Terence Crawford's only been really known to the trade fans. Canelo, obviously, you know, a bigger name, bigger star, and look, I fancy Crawford in this fight. Look, nothing against Canelo. Maybe it's a little bit of time in the skull fight. I don't know, but and there's plenty that fancy Canelo. Be too big, too strong, too good. It's Crawford for me.
The controversy surrounding Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez heated up on Talk Sport Boxing. Some pundits boldly asserted that Crawford might not compete at the highest level again if he suffers a crushing defeat to Canelo. The panel considered both arguments, with several members arguing that Crawford would be overwhelmed by Canelo's stature and force. Others believed that Canelo's shortcomings might be revealed by Crawford's skill set and boxing acumen. The discussion mirrored the divergent viewpoints among the boxing community. The most striking prediction was that Crawford's participation in high-profile bouts may be terminated if he lost, highlighting how serious the situation is.
So yeah, there's a big argument that Canelo Alvarez starts the favourite going into this one because he's the super middleweight world champion. Bud Crawford jumping up to two weight divisions, you know, and he jumped up a weight division before that as well, beating Errol Spence. You just look at it and go, it's a massive ask here for Terence Crawford. Something inside me told me he wins, and we'll get into that later on.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but in the meantime, you know, Canelo, as ever, has left no stone unturned. He's been training at altitude in Sierra Nevada, looking to get the maximum body stamina and preparation advantage. It's something that he's used to, and of course he's going to effectively be the home fighter because Tex-Mexers will be up in their numbers from Texas, also Hispanic fans from all around the United States. The fight is being made on Mexican Independence Day. I don't think you have to be a great crystal ball gazer to know where the bulk of the crowd is going to be rooting when they step out inside those ropes and their names are bellowed out by the ringside announcer afterwards.
Listen, even though the fight happens in America, Terence Crawford is American. It is going to be so pro-Mexican there, you know, because Canelo is accepted. He's like an adopted son there, and Mexican Independence Day, all of that goes so much in favour of Canelo Alvarez. You go, actually, the guy that's a four-division world champion and a superstar of the sport and American will start probably the fan favourite will definitely be Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. And he's been training with somebody, sparring with a man who he thinks replicates Crawford's style in sparring many rounds against Jaron Ennis.
In his analysis, George Ferocious Kambosos Jr. focused on Canelo's use of pressure fighting. He claims that when Canelo closes the distance, cuts off the ring, and strikes strong combinations, he performs at his peak. Canelo's strength, according to Kambosos, is his capacity to throw powerful, accurate punches while applying steady forward pressure. He thinks Canelo will employ this strategy against Crawford, making him spend a large portion of the fight on the defensive. Crawford's task will be to manage those powerful blows without letting Canelo control the tempo. Canelo's pressure is a weapon that Kambosos cannot undervalue.
Canelo is the pressure fighter. He's got to put the pressure on Crawford. He has to be able to land his big shots. He's seasoned at fighting a super middleweight. He's fought as high as light heavyweight, as we know. So he is accustomed to the bigger punches, the bigger shots. I don't think Crawford can really land anything that's going to trouble a guy like Canelo Alvarez. You know, Canelo is such a good pressure fighter, and for him to be successful in this fight, he needs to be able to really cut the ring off very, very well with a guy like Terence Crawford. Now, we saw in Canelo's last fight against Skull that he was not able to really cut him off well. So that has caused a lot of doubters, you know, and people starting to think, you know, Crawford will have that edge in the footwork and the movement department. But, you know, when you're fighting a big fight, you're going to get up for a big fight, and he's really going to be at his best against a guy like Terence Crawford. So I believe he will cut the ring off, you know, very, very well. And for him to be successful, he has to land shots on Crawford, put him in two frames of minds, make Crawford double think every time Canelo goes into and wants to land shots and land shots. Now a guy like Crawford is so slick, so dynamic, able to punch you from different angles and, you know, different stances. We see he switches from orthodox to southpaw. He might fight the whole fight in southpaw. So he's so dynamic. Now he's the kind of guy that he's going to put Canelo in two kind of frames of mind.
Some commentators bring up Terence Crawford's performance against Israel Madrid, noting out that he didn't appear to be at ease with his weight increase. They contend that taking on Canelo Alvarez again would be an even greater leap and provide many difficulties. Crawford was still getting used to the higher category when he faced Madrimov, and his strength did not appear to be as strong. The worry is that this problem might be exacerbated against Canelo, who is inherently larger and more powerful. According to analysts who hold this opinion, this is a dangerous move because size and weight disparities could lessen Crawford's typical advantages.
But a lot of people feel Crawford actually lost that fight. So we've got Crawford coming in off the back of, well, his previous two fights. One of them was a brilliant performance. The other one was a bit lackluster by his very high standards, albeit against a very, very good fighter. But you could see in that fight that the size of Israel Madrimov, bear in mind, 154 pounds. Israel Madrimov still fights at 154 pounds. This is super middle, 2 divisions more. And we've seen Canelo when he's brought someone up from 154 and with decent size 154 pounder in Charlo. But Crawford's not going to do what Charlo did. Charlo fought like, you know, someone who was completely scared out of his mind and just didn't want to knew he wasn't going to win but didn't want to get stopped. That was really the look we were getting from Charlo. Crawford is not going to do that. He's a very proud man, doesn't know what it's like to be defeated. He fully believes in himself and the shape he looks in phenomenal shape. He's coming into this fight fully believing that he can win this, and that right there is the mindset you need to have. It will give you, it won't guarantee you victory, but it will give you a better chance than if you went in there thinking, right, just survive and see what happens. I do think that the size difference will be something, although saying that, look at Canelo Alvarez, we look at his most recent performances, and when's the last fight from Alvarez that's really made you stand up and take note? Cataplant, Billy Joe Saunders, maybe those 2 fights, they were good performances. Lost, clearly, the Dimitri Bivol fight, although it's very close here, it was on the scorecards, it was a clear loss. Against Triple G, it was just a meh performance. Likewise against John Ryder, Charlo, I won't even talk about that. Munguia, it was a bit meh. Again, Berlanga, it was like, okay, and show me something.
Joe Vargas, a former member of the Canelo squad, expressed his opinions about the impending fight and insisted that Canelo is unique. Vargas clarified that Canelo stands apart from the majority of his opponents due to his special attributes. He pointed out that Canelo is dangerous due to his ability to maintain composure under duress, his body punching prowess, and his capacity to deliver knockout power with both hands. Vargas also underlined that Crawford had never before encountered a boxer with Canelo's ability to combine strength and defensive savvy. Vargas claims that even though Crawford is smart and talented, facing Canelo will be completely different for him. Vargas sees this battle as Canelo demonstrating that he is still among the sport's most complete competitors.
This is the first time I pick it. I'm going to go with Canelo on this one.
Why is that?
They're both great at what they do. I'm going against Maggie. I heard everything she said right now. She's right on the money on all that stuff, but Crawford has done a lot of great things at a smaller weight. You know, that jump is I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, you know. Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing. But I just think Canelo's too good at the little things, and what's Crawford's game plan going to be? That's what's going to define the fight to me.
You think Canelo knocks him out?
No, but I think, well, that's the only way I think he's going to win. I think he wants to make a statement. I was going back and forth about Canelo, like everybody talks about, like, for example, when Berlanga fought Shiraz. Did I say it right? Shiraz? Berlanga was engaging with Shiraz. He wasn't engaging with Canelo much, you know. Same thing with Ryder. He didn't engage with Canelo. Munguia did, and it's like you fight people different. Crawford's not gonna fight him the same way he's fought everybody else. Yeah, he's gonna make great adjustments. He's gonna do some great things. It's not the same till you get hit by Canelo. You know, one time, I remember the first time Ulises Sierra sparred with Canelo, the first time we went to his camp, and he came back after the first round, and I said, "What's up, mijo? How hard does he hit?" He said, "Coach, I can feel his power all the way down to my feet."
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.